The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Morning everyone. Welcome to Digital Ready Webinar Writing for the Web. I'm Jane. I'm one of the digital coaches here and I'll be your presenter for today. And I hope you'll find today informative and interesting. Just a little housekeeping before we start. I'm happy to take questions throughout the webinar as we go. If you think of one, please just type it into the question pane that you can see on your control panel that you've got there, and I will pick it up at this end. If by any chance, excuse me, sorry about that. If by any chance I don't get to your question during the webinar, and there's quite a lot to get through, so I may not get there, I'm happy to stay online afterwards and answer it for you. Or if you can't stay, then I'll look at your question this afternoon and send you an email in answer to it. And if I think it's of general interest, I'll send it to everyone. So excuse me a minute. Can everyone hear me okay? If you can hear me, if the sound is fine, can you please put your hand up? There should be a little hand icon on your control panel. Can you please just click it? And then I will know that the sound is all right. No hands going up yet. Question? A bit louder would be good. Thanks, Kathy. Is that better? How's that for so? No, can't hear me. How is that? Is that better? I've shifted the mic. Is that working? Perfect. How's that for you, Dawn? We all good? Okay. Is that better? A bit better, not much. Have you got the sound up as high as it will go on your computer? Dawn? Make sure that your own sound is up as high as it can go. I'll also adjust mine. Okay. There's a little, if you're on a Windows machine, there'll be a little speaker icon down in the bottom right-hand corner. Just click on it. How is that? Okay, can you raise your hand now if the sound is fine? If it's too loud, let me know. Nope. Still having trouble with sound. Much better. Great. Okay. I haven't seen any hands go up though yet, and I've only had responses from Cassie and Dawn. So can everyone else hear me okay? Please raise, oh yep, great, some hands have gone up, tremendous. If you're still having dramas, send me a question. Some hands going up. Putting my hand up, but obviously you can't see it, Tracy. Yes, I can see yours, Tracy, and your question. Okay, that's much better. Okay, so is that okay for everyone now? Yep. Yep. Okay, good. So that was a bit interesting. Let's get started, everyone, and let me just close my panel. Okay, so writing for the web. Today's webinar, what are we going to talk about today? I'm going to talk to you about two types of copy, promotional copy and web copy, and we kind of distinguish these because writing is quite different for both of them. Many of the principles still apply, but the way you would think about your writing before you start and some of the techniques you would use are a little bit different for depending on whether you're writing what we call promotion copy, which is advertising type copy, or web copy, which is kind of information copy. I'm going to talk a little bit then about web writing principles, general principles that you would use when you're writing for the web, a little bit about writing to reflect your brand's tone of voice, and I explain what that is when we get there. Writing for social media, some tips, writing for the click, writing good posts, good tweets, headlines, descriptions, those sorts of things. Many principles are the same across social media platforms, so I'll take you through that briefly. A little bit about how to write compelling email subject lines, which will make a lot of difference as to whether your email gets opened or not, or read. And lastly, a little bit, the question we always get asked, what shall I write about? A little bit about planning your content. So, It's important to remember that in general people read 30 to 50% more slowly on screen than they do for print. There's a whole bunch of reasons for this, most of which is a webinar in itself, but it's just good to have that in your mind as we're doing our webinar today. They do read 30 to 50% more slowly on screen than for print. It's much harder to read on screen for a bunch of reasons. What we call the DPI dots per inch is much slower. There's a lot of distractions. People may not be familiar with scrolling. A whole bunch of reasons. So it's not like sitting down reading a magazine or sitting down reading a book. Much harder. So what you need to do is make your copy much easier to read. So let's firstly look at promotional copy. How do we make that easy to read? Well, you need to persuade people, which is interrupting copy. So this is the kind of copy where people are not expecting to hear from you. They might be focused on a web page or something that they're doing, and you need to persuade them to your point of view and interrupt them from what they're doing. Information copy, most website copy or task-driven copy is the kind of copy that you might have in telling people how to book or about you or your location, or kind of informational type copy that will sit on your website. So let's look firstly at promotional copy, interruption copy. You're trying to get their attention and you're usually interrupting them. So they might be focused on a task and you might have a little banner ad or an offer, or it might be an email you're sending people who are not expecting to hear from you at that time, trying to persuade them to do something. And that's quite difficult to do online. Online people are very task focused. They come to your website with a specific thing they want to do, and trying to stop them and persuade them away to get them to do what you want to do is actually quite difficult. It is anyway in advertising, but it's also a little bit more difficult on the web. So what do we need to do? So what I always say is what we call empathy copy, which is empathy meaning understanding your audience really well. Not just looking at, a behavioural profile that you might have or a demographic profile. You might know they're 25 to 35, they're female, they're educated, they're families, they're this, they're that. That's not quite what I mean. What I mean is really understanding them in terms of what is motivating them and what is really important to them. What are they? What might they object to? What are their significant pain points that your product or service might be able to alleviate? Really trying to get into their mind and into their shoes and thinking, what is motivating you? And what have I got that I can tap into to get your attention? Who are they? Where are they? When are they looking at you? And then once you really understand them, and I often find it helps to have a picture of someone who is like the people you're trying to target in your mind. Even if you go online and find a photo of someone, or you have a photo of them already, stick that on your monitor so that you really can think, I know you, I know all about you, and I'm going to write copy that you're going to be interested in. And then once you have a really clear picture of the person in your mind, when you are writing your copy, it's a really good idea to start in their world and talk about them, not you, for as long as you can. For certainly more than one sentence, try and make it 3 or 4 if you can, but talk about their situation in terms that say, I know you, I know what you're going through, I understand you, and don't talk about yourself. Don't talk about yourself until you have talked about them for at least 2 or 3 sentences to get their attention. Then you can introduce yourself, but it's much more effective if you start with them. If you're talking about yourself, why would that be interesting to them unless they're really motivated about your offer or your product? So start with them, get their attention, then introduce yourself. It's a good idea to start with a statement they would agree with, like need a holiday or you deserve a relaxing break. Try and get them to say yes. And obviously we want to write in a very clear and compelling style. So here's an example of what I mean by empathy copy. This is what you might need to use in an ad or a landing page where you're trying to persuade people to buy quickly, or an email or an article or some promotional copy of some kind where you are interrupting people from the task they've come online to do. So, for example, here's value luxury. Everyone's idea of luxury travel is different, including yours. Nothing about your company, nothing about value luxury in that statement. Then the next paragraph, just as no two people are alike, neither are your best vacations. What you think is affordable and what you think is luxury is individual. Still nothing about value luxury, the company, yet. The bottom line, it is your vacation, but as the value luxury travel experts, we have some ideas to help you decide the best affordable luxury destinations, accommodation, attractions, food and drink for your next trip. Then we get value luxury, the company, introducing themselves in the call to action. Learn more about value luxury. But can you see that there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sentences about the reader, that are aimed at saying, I know you, I understand you, clearly you're very discerning and you want to make up your own mind and you want something a little bit different. And so they have crafted this copy to say, we understand you. And what will happen is the person who they're targeting will look at this. Hopefully their eye will be caught by the headline, everyone's idea of luxury travel is different, including yours. Yes, actually it is. I'll keep reading. Just as no two people are alike, neither are your best vacations. Hey, these guys really get me. I'm going to keep reading their stuff. What you think is affordable and what you think is luxury is individual. Yes, that's absolutely right. So do you see how they have carefully crafted this copy, starting with what they know about this person? They know that they are looking for something a bit different. They're looking for a luxury travel experience. They don't want to be told what to do. They want to make their own decisions. But then right at the bottom, they introduce the company. So this is what I mean by empathy copy. It is not easy to do. So don't be daunted if you can't do it straight off the bat. It is actually quite difficult to do, and it's what they pay a lot of people a lot of money in advertising companies to do. But when you are next sending out something that is going to be interruption copy, something that you know your reader is not necessarily expecting to hear from you, or not really 100% focused on looking for your product or service, and you're going to have to interrupt them from what they're doing and try and turn them around from what they're doing and persuade them. Start to think, what do I know about them? Are they discerning? Are they looking for value for money? Are they just looking for a good family holiday? Are they looking for a once in a lifetime experience? Are they after adventure? You know, try and jot down a picture of the people you're writing for, and then start to write some sentences that get their attention. Start in their world. Start with a sentence they would agree with. Here's another example I just found this morning from Copyblogger. I love Copyblogger. If you don't subscribe to him, I would really recommend that you do, because he has such great tips on writing online and writing for the web, and he writes so well himself, or all his writers do. He's now got a big stable of writers, but Copyblogger is this company here that I would really recommend that you subscribe to. It's free and you can learn a lot. But anyway, I wanted to show you this morning. Don't worry, I don't have shares in this company. Get this marketing cornerstone right or go home. Okay, you got me. You aroused curiosity. I'm interested in marketing. I want to know what this is about. Now here is what is written. If you're marketing a product or service, there's one thing you absolutely need to get right. Your writing voice might not be that awesome. Your call to action might need some help. Your big idea might not so big. But if you can get this one down, you'll do okay. You'll do all right. You may not thrive, but you'll live to sell another day. On the other hand, if you get it wrong, no amount of brilliant marketing can help you. What is this terrifying important factor? Now, he's got me. Of course I'm going to click through and see what this is. But it is about somebody who's not so confident of their writing skills, and they're not so confident of their creativity, but it's reassuring. So he's saying, there's one thing you need to get right. I understand you, but I've got a solution for you. If you get it wrong, doesn't matter how brilliant you are, so what is it? And then of course we'll all click through and find out what it is, and you can do that in your own time. But I just demonstrated as another example of really great empathy, interruption type copy, because it is all about the reader. He said nothing at all about himself, nothing about selling his copywriting services, nothing about anything at all about Copyblogger. There's no mention of his company here. It's all about the reader. So this is what I mean by interruption copy. Sorry, just bear with me a sec. Little technical glitch. Yeah, so this is what I mean by interruption or empathy copy. It's most advertising, a lot of emails, things where people are not expecting necessarily to hear from you right then and there, and you have to interrupt them from what they're doing, persuade them to your point of view. So that's empathy copy. Let's have a look at general web writing principles, which apply to both empathy and task-driven copy. So as I said, it's much harder to read online. So what you need to do, generally write 50% less than you would for print. 50% less. Now that doesn't mean take out important information that readers need. It means try to make your copy very tight, very succinct. Short sentences are great, no more than 20 words. One idea per sentence, around about 20 words. If it's 15, great. If it's 21, don't worry. But try and keep your sentences as short as possible. Small paragraphs are great too, 50 to 60 words. If you remember that Copyblogger example, he actually had 2 sentences in a paragraph, and it probably would have been maybe 30 words for each one. White space is great online. So short sentences, small paragraphs. Use things that will help the reader scan. They don't read every word online. They will skim and scan the page to see if it's worth reading. So no matter how carefully you've crafted your copy, you can't be guaranteed they'll read everything because they're busy, they're time poor, it's hard to read online, etc. What they will do is glance at the page. If you think about your own web behaviour, look at the page and see what stands out to get some visual cues about what's on the page. And headings, subheadings, link texts, things that will stand out visually because they're bigger or a different colour or bold can really help you get your message across and get your page read. Direct, clear style, active voice, compelling call to action, tell them what to do. You'd be surprised, I know that sounds like a really obvious thing to say, but you'd be surprised how effective it is if you tell your reader what to do online. You know, book now, find out more, book our tour today, you know, that sort of stuff. Really clear calls to action. Tell them what you want them to do once they've read the copy. And this isn't unique to the web. A lot of journalists use this, but inverted pyramid format is a style of writing that can make your copy much more readable and make your pages scannable. So this is just illustrating what I've been saying. It is much harder to read online, and you can see that the sentence on the right, which says exactly the same as the sentence on the left, why not use fewer words to make your copy clearer? I mean, I'm being a little bit facetious and exaggerating a little bit, but you'd be surprised how many websites I see where you have got kind of this amount of words when they could have this. So when you are going back to your website for the information type copy that you have a look and see, do I need in general? No, I don't. Do I need it is usually better to? No, I probably don't. I can just put why in there. Why not use as many words as you would normally? Do I need normally in there? No, I probably don't. Take that out. So why not use fewer words to, do I need under the circumstances? No, I don't. So all, you know, have a look at your web copy and think, do I really need every word in there? Now, being tourism, of course, you know, we need to be a little bit kind of aspirational. I understand that. Take it out first and then gently and slowly and with great taste put adjectives and descriptive words back in, but not too many. So, because you don't want them to get in the way of the message. Don't do what I did see an operator do once, which was throw everything out, throw the baby out with the bathwater, and all they had on their page was dot points, because that will affect or may affect your search engine rankings. You do have to have enough words in there, firstly to make sense to your reader, and secondly so a Google bot can kind of match it with the search query. But you know, have a look at your copy and think, do I really need every word? Clearly, from this example to this one, you don't need every word that's in here. And take out the ones that are superfluous or getting in the way, instructional text if it really isn't needed, that sort of stuff. Have a good look at your website and take out the words that you don't need. Make your sentences shorter, your paragraphs smaller. But don't just have like 1 or 2 words, dot points on each page, because that may affect your SEO. Here's another example. This is from Tesco Travel, of all places. Before travelling by bike, ensure you're fit enough for the ride, research the routes thoroughly, buy maps that show cycling routes, get in touch with people who've done the same trip via clubs or websites, allow enough time to reach your destination. So this is just very plain, easy to understand, easy to pick up copy. There aren't any extraneous words in there. It's simple, direct and clear. The headlines are very clear. When travelling by train. For someone who's come wanting to know about travelling through the south of France by train, which is what this is about, can skip the before travelling by bicycle paragraph because that's not relevant to them, and go straight to when travelling by train. Buy a flexible ticket which allows for ad hoc changes or stops. Take plenty of board games, packs of cards or books. If you're travelling on a budget, pack food and drinks, as these can be expensive purchased on board. So it's not rude, it's not nasty or anything like that, it's just direct and simple. So this is another great example of simple, clear writing on the web. So take these examples back to your website and think to yourself, can I write like this? You don't have to have dot points all the time, but they can help a great deal to break up the page. If you have a long paragraph or a list of something, it's much easier to read a list online with dot points than it is to try and read all of that in a paragraph where you have to do the work yourself. Headings and subheadings I talked about earlier. So if you do have a long page of copy and you need it all, you think you need it all, if you do have a long blog post or an article or something, we understand you can't always write short pages. So you can use headings and subheadings, and that will break up the page and help the reader to scan the page. And you can put lots of white space in to help, makes it easier on the eye and more readable. So This one here, tips for dealing with jet lag, is the heading, and we get change your watch early, avoid alcohol, stretching and exercises, only sleep at night. So if someone only comes here and only reads the heading and the subheadings, you'll notice that they have got the most important information, which is not a bad thing. I know you want everybody to read every word, but the reality is they won't. So if you have put in your headings to reflect the content and someone reads tips for dealing with jet lag, change your watch early, avoid alcohol, stretching, only sleep at night, great, got it, gone, because they're busy and time poor and all the rest of it. If they've only read that much, they've got your message. Hopefully that the way you've written your headings and subheadings will be enough to make them go back and read your carefully crafted copy that you spent hours on. But if they don't, at least they have got your message. So again, go back to your website. If you have a long page or something, if you have, you know, like a lot of information about bookings or location, or I don't know, or you have a blog post or an article or something that is quite long and lots of words on the page, firstly have a review of the copy and take out things that are not absolutely necessary in there. And secondly, break it up by subheadings that will summarise each paragraph. As you can see, change your watch early. Underneath that there is a paragraph about changing your watch. So make the paragraph summarise, the heading summarise the paragraph. And you can see how much easier that is to read than just a great big long article with no kind of reference points in it for the reader's eyes to rest on and for them to get the sense of the page. So headings and white space, headings and subheadings in particular, can be great for breaking up a long page or a long article. Links can really help with scanning too, especially if you write the link text so the user doesn't get a surprise when they click on it. So if you have a PDF, make sure they know it's a PDF, download our annual report PDF 46K. That way they know they might have to wait for a bit and they can go and have a cup of tea or something while it's downloading, rather than having that annoying thing happen where you click on a link, you don't know it's going to be a PDF and it takes, you know, 20 minutes or so to download, which is annoying. We don't want that, because when people are annoyed, they close the browser and they go somewhere else. Yeah, find out more here, book now. Avoid click here when you are writing link text if you can, and if you have to have click here in there because you think your readers won't know what to do, then make it bigger. Click here to book, click here to find out more, click here to what. I would prefer not to have click here, because find out more is a lot more compelling as a call to action. Book now is a lot more compelling, but if you really can't do without it, make it a longer link. It's fine to have long links. As you can see, because links again are going to be in your website, they're going to look different. So they're going to be underlined, or they might be a different color or bold, or all three, or larger. I don't know how your website style is, but one way or another they're going, or they should stand out from the surrounding text. So again, if people are only looking, skimming and scanning, they're only looking at headings and subheadings and your link text, if your link text is meaningful, then they can again get the sense of the page from it. If you've just got a bunch of click here's going all down the page, somebody's not reading your text, which, as I've said, they probably, you know, 100% of people will not. They might read a bit of it, but they just want to get the message and go. If your link text is meaningful and stands out, that will give them the sense of the page too, and they're much more likely to stay and click rather than think, I can't read this, it just says click here, and go somewhere else. Just to demonstrate what I mean, here's some before and after. So I've got click here to book now for cheap flights to Bali, and I've changed from click here to book cheap flights to Bali now. 50% off sale on now, click here. Find out more about our 50% off fashion sale on now. Click here to download our company prospectus, etc. So I've made the PDF part of the link, and then visit our careers website. Click here to search for a job with us. Want to work for us? Visit our careers website. So you can see if they only read the link text, which it's highly likely they will, look at the before and after. Obviously, which one is going to stand out on the page more? It's the one with the words in it, not the one with click here. So when you're writing your link text, think, how can I word this? So if I take out all of the surrounding text and people only read the heading, the subheadings and the link text, will they know what to do? Will it be compelling enough for them to click through? So that's link text, headings and subheadings. What else? Inverted pyramid style. Okay. So this is a technique that we employ in the web quite a lot, because a lot of the time people, as I said, will not read every word, and they will not always scroll. There's been many arguments about whether people, when the web first started many years ago and I started working in it, people kind of thought the only information was what they could immediately see on the screen, and they didn't know to scroll. Now, of course, people have learned since then, and they do know to scroll, but they do fatigue. Studies show that people do get quite tired and fed up if they have to scroll a long way to find out to find the information they're interested in. And again, they may just land on your page, read your heading, maybe read the third paragraph, and then go. So if your really important information is in the 17th paragraph and the majority of your users are arriving on the page, reading maybe the top of it and then going because they can't find what they're looking for, then obviously they'll miss your important information. So writing an inverted pyramid style can really help to alleviate that. A lot of journalists do it, and the reason why they do it in newspapers, for example, is that the sub-editor, if he needs column inches for something else, either an ad or another article, will often just cut off the bottom of the article. So obviously you don't want your most important information to be cut off and left out of the paper, so you start with the most important one. And it is quite different to how we're all taught to write articles in school. We're all taught to write with an introduction and supporting paragraphs and then a massive conclusion that sums it all up. Well, this is a little bit different. Start with your conclusion if you can. Again, for long pieces of long articles, long pages, lots of information, most important newsworthy stuff at the top, the stuff they must get. If they only read that much, most important message. So it's probably a good idea not to start with things like welcome to our website or message from the CEO or stuff that is not critical. Start with the information that is really critical or something to get their attention. Then in the middle of the page, more about supporting information, stuff where if they've read this and gone, at least you've got your message across. Hopefully this will entice them to read down and read some more, and they can read here. Related info, nice to have. If they don't get it, doesn't matter. Not too critical. So obviously your call to action, unless you're certain that people are going to scroll all the way down and click on your call to action here, I would have it high up if you can, either in your website design with a button or in your text or both. Yeah, I wouldn't always leave. I mean, if you sometimes it's unavoidable, but if your book now thing is right down the bottom here, you're running the risk of people getting bored or fatiguing halfway through and going somewhere else and not clicking through, which is the whole reason why you wrote the copy in the first place. So practice writing an inverted pyramid style, and the way I would do it is to say to yourself, what are the things people must know? What is the 3 to 5 critical things the user must know when they have read my page? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, list them. Okay, so list your 3 to 5 critical points. What must they know when they've read their page? Okay, now what is the most important? Okay, that's number 1. What's the next most important? Okay, mark that number 2. What's the next most important? Mark that number 3, and so on. And then write your article in that structure. Now it is quite different to how we've been taught to write, I'm sure, but give it a go and you'll find that particularly for long pages again, it will be a lot more effective. Now these principles, the principle of short, tight copy I would apply everywhere. The inverted pyramid style, the headings, subheadings, you may not use them all the time, so figure out what is going to work best for the page that you're on. But the principles of clear headings, subheadings, tight copy, linked text, I would apply that universally to every page. So here's an example of inverted pyramid style. So summary information to cap the reader's attention at the top, e.g. looking for the best whale watch tour on the Sunshine Coast, you come to the right place. Middle, supporting information on why you're the best whale watch tour, knowledge, prices, value, testimonials. And then bottom, less important information, which might be stuff not directly related to your credentials as a whale watch tour or, booking information. So, I don't know, things that they could do after the tour or complementary businesses or stuff that's not critical. Whatever that might be. Okay, so those are the main techniques, I guess, for writing clear copy for the web. So short sentences, small paragraphs, headings and subheadings, linked text, make them meaningful, and where appropriate, write in inverted pyramid style. Just pause for a sec while I find my, there we are, question. I'll just pause for a second, take a question. You're welcome, Cassie. No, it wasn't you. No, all good. All good. So, great. So we don't have any questions. Do feel free to ask as we go, or more than happy to take them at the end. Right. The question just came through. No problem. Okay, so another really good trick for writing for the web is compelling writing. Okay, so on websites, it's really good to use what we call active voice. So rather than say my company or the company or you know, your company name or whatever, say we. Rather than say customers must, guests must, you know, visitors must, say you. Now I know people get a bit confronted by this too and think, gosh, that's really rude, but it's actually not rude on the web. It's actually just really direct. And it does make your copy a lot more compelling and readers are more likely to act on it. So something like, here's an example, your safety and comfort is important to us, so please tell our cabin crew if you need our help to board, rather than passengers should approach Company X's friendly cabin staff if they need any assistance with boarding. So you know, cabin crew on an airline, it's critical that they know if somebody needs assistance, because if there's an emergency and they don't know, then lives could be lost, you know. So this is really important information. And someone reading this, passengers should approach Company X's friendly cabin staff if they need any assistance with boarding, is a bit passive. Passengers, so it should be you. Company X, it should be us or our cabin crew or cabin staff. And someone reading that might think, oh, it's all right, I don't really need to tell them. Whereas this, your safety and comfort is important to us, to please tell our cabin crew if you need our help to board, is much more direct and they're much more likely to act on it. So when you, again, go back to your copy that you're writing and have a look and take out, you know, passengers, visitors, whatever term you have to refer to your people that come to, you know, your customers, and just call them you, and refer to yourself we, I, us, our. It's actually quite friendly as well. If the rest of your tone is written in quite a friendly style, just say we'd love to see you, you know, rather than our company would really appreciate your visit, if you know what I mean. So just make it direct, and you'll be surprised how much more effective your copy is online. Remember, people don't read everything online. They skim and scan. They are looking for things that grab their attention, and compelling writing using active voice is one of the ways that you can really make your writing compelling. Okay, so that is another writing technique. Compelling voice. So we've talked about types of copy, we've talked promotional web copy, we've talked a little bit about web writing principles that you can apply to most of your writing in general. Now I want to talk a little bit about reflecting your brand, what we call writing for your brand tone of voice. So Dolly Parton says, figure out who you are, then do it on purpose, so, which I think is a great line. So Dolly Parton is, you know, the Dolly Parton brand is the big hair and the red lipstick and the voice and the everything else, and she does that 100% all the time, when she talks, when she speaks, when she sings, when she's on telly, when she's wherever she's seen in public. She never wavers from the look and the voice and the everything else. It never changes, and it never would, because that is her brand. So think about your own business now. Tone of voice is basically the feeling that readers get from a piece of writing based on how the writing sounds, and the feeling should convey the personality of your brand. So depending on what words you select, what adjectives or what how you express yourself, or how you write, you can get quite a different tone of voice from one piece of writing over another. If you reflect back to the copy blogger example, it was very direct and quite casual. If you refer back to the luxury copy one, it was much more persuasive and much more kind of soothing, if you like. So the words that you choose and the types of, the ways that you say things, not just the information but also the words you choose, can convey the personality of your brand. So I'd like you to think about your brand, your company, and you know, your colours and your logo is also part of your brand, your service, the way you speak to people, the way you answer the phone, all those kind of things encompass your company brand. So think, what describes our brand? What kind of a company are we? What kind of a brand are we? Are we casual? You know, are we like maybe a laid-back backpacker, something like that? Are we informal? Same thing. Are we wacky? Are we a completely crazy, I don't know, crocodile tour or something? Are we informative, like a museum, you know, preserving the past, that sort of thing? Are we super serious or academic? Are we that kind of thing? Are we romantic? Are we a romantic getaway? Are we scientific? Jot down, if you've got a pen handy, a couple of words that would describe your brand. And as you can see, these are quite different. So a 5-star luxury accommodation place will have quite a different brand tone of voice from a 3-star backpackers or a an adventure tour, or and that again, an adventure tour will have something quite different to an escorted luxury coach tour, something like that. So jot down a couple of words that would describe your brand. Or another way to think of it is, if your brand was a drink, what would it be? So are you a cocktail? Are you just a nice cup of tea with a spoonful of sugar? Or are you a cold beer? You know, that's another way to think of it, is what kind of a drink are we? Are you a herbal tea? Are you a stiff scotch? I don't know. What kind of a drink is your brand? Or if it was a car, this is another way to think of it. Would you be a Ferrari, or a family wagon, or a Mini Cooper, or a Porsche, or a cranky old grid? Surely not. I don't know. But, you know, try and jot down some you know, if it's hard to jot down the words, start to think about a car or a drink or a meal or something like that. What would your brand be if you were thinking of it in those terms? And when you are writing about your brand, try to write in the style of these words by selecting adjectives and tone. So if you're trying to write in a very, very informal style, you would use things like your, where. If you're writing a bit more formally, you might write you are, we are, that sort of thing. Adjectives that you select. You know, if you're writing, you might use slangy words if you're trying to be really Australian, or not, you know, kind of words that will be understood by your market, but things that are kind of a little bit Australian, like no worries mate, that kind of thing. If you're not trying to be quite so out there Aussie and trying to be a bit more international, you might use different words. So think about your brand tone of voice, describe your brand, and then try and write in the style of these words. Again, I don't expect you to pick this up in 5 minutes, but practice it. Think, am I going to write in really casual, informal, friendly style? Is it going to be more formal, more persuasive? I'm going to use bigger words, smaller words, and choose your words carefully. If you're really stuck, there's some great thesauruses online where you can just type in a word like thing and it will give you 60 words instead of thing. So yeah, brand tone of voice. Try and write in your brand tone of voice. Try and make that consistent throughout all your written communications. So types of copy: promotion and web copy, web writing principles, writing for your brand tone of voice, a little bit about writing for social media. So I presume that most of us would have some kind of social media presence, Facebook or Twitter or a blog or YouTube, whatever. When you are writing, even if you're only writing YouTube description, there are some little tips and techniques, if you like, tricks that you can use to make your writing more compelling. So a little recap. They don't read every word. They will skim and scan. They're impatient normally. People online, they expect to click and make things happen, not read a lot of text, and they don't remember a lot. So how do we get them to click on our social media? Let's have a look. Firstly, headlines. If you are writing a blog or an article, or this can also apply to sometimes a Facebook post, a tweet, a email subject line. The principles are basically the same. You might just adapt them a little bit for the platform that you're on, but the principles are great, are largely the same. So the first thing you want to do with your headline, it can be responsible for 90% of click-throughs. So it's the first thing people see. You want to make it compelling to get them to click through to your article or your website, or at least get them to read your carefully crafted post that you spent hours on. So firstly, direct headlines is one way. So we're probably mostly familiar with these. This might be the ones that we normally use for email subject lines or whatever. Go straight to your message. So flights to WA 50% off. Simple, direct, clear. And that's fine. If you are comfortable with direct headlines, by all means keep using them. If you would like to mix it up a little bit, here's some hints for you. So indirect can be really good. Use the reader's curiosity to raise a question that the article answers. Why I'll never dive the reef again. Okay, so remember we had content copy blogger. Where is he? Sorry, just let me pick him up again. There he is. So his headline was, get this marketing cornerstone right or go home. Okay, that got me this morning. I was really busy. I was just updating this presentation for this morning's webinar, and I thought, bang, you got me. Okay, I'm going to read that paragraph even though I've got no time. So can you write an indirect headline that will arouse the reader's curiosity and make them think, what? Why won't they dive the reef again? What happened? Was it good? Was it bad? Have they bought the reef? You know, have they had a bad experience? I'm going to read that. I had a really good one. We're doing this in a workshop, and I give this as an exercise, and one of the answers was why I'll never pay for parking again. And I thought, man, you got me. I pay too much for parking all the time. So can you write an indirect headline that arouses the reader's curiosity? Newsy headline can be very compelling which might be a product announcement if you've got a new room that you've just refurbished, or your new menu coming up, or a new tour package or something, or a content scoop. So introducing Hervey Bay as our new destination. So introducing, announcing, presenting, those kind of words can be really good to get people's attention, very compelling. How-tos are great, and the thing about how-to headlines, how to do something, e.g. how to keep everyone happy on your big road trip. Again, there's a bit of empathy then. This one's aimed at families who are sick of kids saying, are we there yet, are we there yet, are we there yet? So how-to not only can be really great at reaching your audience quickly, but also obviously it gives you structure. So if you've got a how-to headline, then you can say tip 1, tip 2, tip 3, tip 4, tip 5 before you know it, you've written your article, and you've got some really good subheadings in there too. So how-to is a bit of a no-brainer, really easy and can be very effective. Question. So coming back to our empathy that we had before, uses a question the reader can empathise with. Who else wants a stress-free holiday? You know, something that, again, coming back to empathy, what do I know about my reader? Can I ask them a question? Are you looking for a great holiday? Do you reckon you deserve a break? Are you exhausted? You know, that kind of thing. Can I write a question that will get their attention? Or I had an example in there, are you looking to work with us? You know, visit our careers website. So questions can be really good, provided that they are relevant. Don't fish with a question. I see a lot of phishing headlines, especially on things like LinkedIn discussions and things like that, where it's clear that the writer has an agenda, and it's like, no, not clicking through on that because you're going to tell me all about your company. It needs to be about me, and then I will click through. Sorry, that's how it is. But no, seriously, going back to your readers, make it about them. Much more chance that they will click through than if the question is also about you. Command headline. So first word again is a strong verb demanding action. So book your Christmas in July break today. Find more about blah, 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 blah. Check out our wonderful photos on Instagram of our recent tour, you know, something like that. Command headline tells your reader what to do. Again, remember, I can't stress enough, telling your reader what to do can be really effective online. It sounds like a really simple thing to say, but can be really effective because it cuts through all the other clutter that is competing for their attention. Reasons why. So again, this is a bit like the how-to. 5 reasons why you should, e.g., choose Cairns this year. 5 reasons why you should choose Toowoomba and region this year. 5 reasons why you should come to the Gold Coast, something like that. 5 reasons why. Again, reasons why is great, quite persuasive, quite compelling, but also like the how-to, gives you a structure for your article. So you can have reason 1, reason 2, reason 3. So, and again, you can break up your long article with some headings and subheadings, and it's not hard to structure it. And testimonials can be great, particularly, I mean, if they are real and authentic and right from your audience, even better. Preferably make them real, but make sure obviously you have permission. So social proof is what we go on a lot in Digital Ready about when we're talking about social media, but social proof, that thing of, oh, somebody else likes this and I respect their opinion, so I better have a look at it too, you know, that sort of thing. It's in a lot of Facebook sponsored stories and things, that's the principle they work on there too. But social proof is somebody who is respected or liked or whatever, if they can say, give you a testimonial, or if they're like your audience, even if they're not famous, then that can be really effective. So I've got here, I turn to Tourism Queensland for all my holiday needs amidst Warrabingle. Okay, so I'm being a little bit facetious here, but we did have, again, in another workshop, somebody said, had a testimonial that was best holiday ever, Justin, 11 years old. Now, Justin isn't famous, but I bet there are a lot of mothers of 11-year-old kids who'd be looking for somewhere nice to take their kids in the holidays. So that was a great testimonial headline, and just a great testimonial in general. So if you can gather these and get the okay to use them, which is just normally simply asking people, is it okay? These can be really effective as well because they give the reader a social proof. They give the reader evidence that somebody else really likes your offering and that somebody else is either respected by them or is a lot like them. And so that can be really convincing, particularly if you're new or you have a new product that is unfamiliar. Testimonials can be great. So by all means, as I said, stick to your direct headlines if you're comfortable with them. They can, you know, that's fine to do that, but maybe sometimes just try a few of these different techniques and just see what works, because it can be very effective and it can be a lot of fun too. A little bit about Facebook posts. Apart from the principles I've just taken you through, which you can adapt to your Facebook posts that you're putting up, The other thing to think about with Facebook, just briefly, we just got a quick slide on this, is you want people to do things with the things you put up there. You want them to like or comment or share, do something with your post that you put up there. You don't want it to think without trace, because then your post will kind of disappear if no one does anything with it and all your effort has gone to waste. So post information that will encourage shares, comments and likes to increase your edge rank. If you want to know a bit more about that, we have webinars on it, and we have a workshop video on in the Digital Ready program on Facebook and social media itself, so have a look at those to find out a bit more, or you can always get in touch with me or Susan or Miko. We're more than happy to answer your query over the phone or by email. But anyway, the rule of thumb to remember is post stuff people will do something with. The more people that do something with it, not only do more people see it from your fans networks, but the longer life your posts will have. So one of the good tips to do, I wouldn't do this all the time, but it's a good trick, is to ask questions that invite your audience to talk about themselves. So is there an opportunity for your audience to talk about themselves, something they have an opinion about, something they will be prepared to share and comfortable sharing? Things like travel experiences are kind of a no-brainer. Everyone likes to talk about their favourite holiday or the great holiday they went on, or what they're saving for, or best tips, best tricks. Ask their opinion. Bucket list is great. What's on your bucket list? Ask them about their pet. That's another really good one. Ask them about their family if they're prepared to post about family stories, that sort of stuff. But think to yourself, I know about my audience because I deal with them every day. I talk to them on the phone and I greet them at reception, or I take them on a tour with me, whatever. I know them really well. What would they want? What do they talk to me about now? And start to ask questions about those kind of things that people will be prepared and able to talk about. And you can get a really great conversation going with people talking even to each other on your Facebook post, not just to you. And if you can make that happen, that is really great, because it will really help your post have a longer life and hopefully share your Facebook page itself with people who didn't see it before. So really important. Sometimes tricks, I wouldn't use these all the time either, but occasionally fill in the blank, e.g. this Friday I'd love to travel to blah with blah. Now Flight Centre did this once and they got some really great responses, like this Friday I'd love to travel to the beach with a bottle of champagne, or Pizza Hut with my boyfriend, or Paris with my boss who's married, or it's just a really great open question, and lots of people can say different things to it and laugh at each other's responses and things. Hit like if you'd like to be here right now is another trick. So post a beautiful photo, whack it up there. Don't just say look at our beautiful sunset. Say hit like if you'd like to be here right now, or share if you agree Mondays should be banned. Now I wouldn't do this all the time because it can get a bit kind of people can get a bit cynical about it, but once in a while it's absolutely fine to do. Ask people questions, put in a fill in the blank, put in a photo with hit like or share if you'd like to be here, that sort of stuff can really help your edge rank. It's really good to post human interesting snippets about your company too, not just promotions. So have a look at your Facebook page, and if it is all about offers, try to make yourself a little bit more human. What's going on in your company that you're comfortable sharing or have the okay to share that people would be interested in? So is it the lambs being born, or chickens hatching, or is it your new bedroom, or is somebody on staff getting married, or are you having a great competition, or have you got a new menu, or was there a great wedding that happened that you can share, that you got permission to share? Interesting snippets about what's going on, because it makes you human and it makes you real, and being human and real on social media is really important. Human, real and authentic. But again, know your audience. Make sure the stuff you're going to be putting up there, the questions you're asking, the snippets, whatever, are going to resonate with the people you know. So it comes back to who's my audience, what do I know about them. Get a picture in your mind before you start to write, and then write your snippets. So examples, Flight Centre, where in the world would you most like to be enjoying your day today? Now that 20 minutes that had been up, and they got 79 likes, 240 comments and 1 share. It's not bad. Now don't be daunted if this doesn't happen to you right off, because Flight Centre had spent years nurturing this audience very carefully. But you can start. It's a place to start and see what kind of response you get, asking questions that people can do something with. Quite like this one, Total Travel, South Australia better than you think. So there's a nice little compelling headline, curiosity headline, okay? Why is this better than I think? This is obviously aimed at people in Victoria and New South Wales. I hope I'm not offending any crow eaters here. I didn't write it, Total Travel did. So South Australia better than you think. Despite being seen by many as the boring cousin to Victoria and New South Wales, South Australia is actually a lot better than you think. So there's a nice little curiosity paragraph as well that may help me to click through. But just 2 examples of really good Facebook posts. Writing effective tweets, briefly, some of us may have Twitter accounts as well. It's really great to have a mixture of promotions and offers, information and retweets or conversations with people. Remember, you've only got 140 characters. I know some tools let you write longer, but in the actual Twitter interface you can only see 140 characters at a time initially, so try and stick to that if you can. Compelling, so that means you've got limited words. Keep it short and sweet, keep it simple. Promise the reader reward in exchange for clicking through can often be quite an effective thing, and often the best informational tweets are formulated with, in terms of the structure of it, your message first, then your link, and then a source if there is one, and then a hashtag. You don't have to do it this way, but this is the way that is easiest to read on Twitter. Here's some examples. So the main headline is we've just launched our midweek winter deals and a shortened link. Okay, we've just launched our midweek winter deals, shortened link, but here are some variations on that to encourage people to click through. So here's our question. Need a break? Check out our midweek winter specials and the link. Or, need a break? Check out our midweek winter specials. So the hashtag and the holiday hashtag will not only serve as good links, but they will stand out on the page. Again, here's our link. It's bold. It's going to stand out. People will look at that. Or another one, take care of yourself. Our relaxing midweek winter specials, hashtag again, recharge and rejuvenate you. Holiday, another one, a bit longer. This one is aimed at, again, they've thought about who am I writing for? I'm writing for tired mums. Relax, holiday, fabulous pamper package is perfect for tired mums. And hashtag relax holiday. Or another curiosity one, it's all about the service. What's all about the service? I'm going to click through on that. I'm curious. Are you wondering what we have planned this week? Another curiosity tweet, curiosity headline. Find out why we'll never live anywhere else. Okay, so another curiosity one. These are great for helping you to get people to click through. So again, if you're comfortable just writing the very top one, we've just launched our midweek winter deals, by all means continue doing that. But maybe if you're on Twitter and you're not getting the click-throughs that you would like, maybe just try wording it a little bit differently and trying to encourage people to become curious, or starting with some empathy. Or aiming it at a particular market like tired mums, or people who are looking for a present for a tired mum, perhaps. Okay, so that's Twitter. Just before we go into email subject lines, I've got a question. I'll just quickly answer it. Can I put up the structure of the tweet again, please? Yes, certainly. Hang on a tick. Yes, just bear with me a sec and I will do that. Okay, so here it is. So write your message, then the shortened link, if you've got a link for them to click through. So this is what I'd do first. So whatever your tweet is, this would obviously take up most of the 140 characters you've got. A shortened link, and then you don't have to do a via source if it's not, if it's your own website or whatever. This is optional. And then your hashtag. Another question? No worries. Okay, cool. You don't have to write your tweets this way, but they are good for, can be good for readability. Another question. Yes, sorry Kelly, I forgot to say this is actually being recorded, and so we will post the recording on YouTube, and then we will link to it from the Digital Ready webinar, from the Digital Ready webinar page. So if you go to the Digital Ready website, and I'll give you the URL at the end of this presentation, you can see where the link is and click on it when it's posted. It usually takes about a week or so. If you like, I can also email you out the actual YouTube link, because I will be doing that this afternoon. So I'll do that. Make a note to do that. Okay. So just bear with me while I find my next slide. Hope that's okay with everyone now. And lastly, so just before we finish, email subject lines and what to write about. So again, email subject lines can make the difference between getting your email opened and not. Really critical. So make them short. Remember that a lot of people might be looking at emails on their phone now when the screen is a lot smaller. And so don't put the critical information at the end of the line because they'll miss it. Short but not too short, and also compelling. So book today was one from Ryanair versus £5 seat sale. I know which one I'd click on if it were me because this one tells me something. This is just a call to action, doesn't tell me why I should book. So make sure you're going to tell people something that's interesting and important and relevant to them. 50 characters or less, I would have even less if you can, because as I said, screens are getting smaller, people are getting more impatient, etc. Unless you're going to do like a monthly digest kind of newsletter format, I wouldn't use the same subject line each time. Using the same subject line can help help people remember you, and if they're expecting to hear from you weekly or monthly, whatever, it can help. But in general, if it's a promotional email, I wouldn't always use the same subject line. I'll show you an example of that in a sec. Obviously, make it consistent with the email. I know that sounds like a no-brainer, but I do get emails sometimes where I've clicked through on the headline because I thought the headline was fabulous and I can't find the information that the headline promised in the email. And then that's annoying, you know, and it detracts from the brand, and next time I might be less likely to click on it because I know that they're tricking me a little bit. So don't promise what's not in the email or have content that doesn't match. Make sure the heading is consistent with the content. Avoiding spam filters. So a lot of sometimes emails will get blocked by spam filters. A lot of email platforms and also ISPs have automatic filters set up to filter out emails that they think are spam. And because they're machines and not people, they don't read them all, they just pick up on keywords. So try not to use words like free, offer, act now, and lots of exclamation marks. There are tools that you can use online to actually run your copy through, and it will give you a score of how likely your email is to be blocked, and also the words that you need to change. So there's quite a few. If you want to Google them, or if you want to contact me later, I can give you some names of them. So if you're doing a lot of email, it's really good to try it out with one of these content filters that will have a look at your content and tell you what you need to change to avoid getting blocked by a spam filter. The other thing that's really good to do if you have, if you're doing email regularly, is just test it, like send to maybe 1 or 2 or 5% of your whole database and just see how many got blocked, and try and do it in different clients. But in general, avoid words in the subject line that will trigger a spam filter. So like I said earlier about avoiding using the same thing every time, so have a look at, here's Pinterest and here's Fancy. Now the Fancy is similar to Pinterest except maybe a bit more commercial. Pinterest is a little bit more beautiful. Fancy still has beautiful stuff on it. But look at the subject line, your Pinterest recommendation. Now I think they have changed this a bit, but it's still not as compelling as Fancy. Your Pinterest recommendations, your weekly Pinterest, hi Jane, last week. Your Pinterest recommendations, your weekly Pinterest, hi Jane, last week. Your Pinterest recommendation, you know, it's not interesting. And although I really like Pinterest, I don't always click through because there's nothing there to entice me. I know it's Pinterest, I know they have great stuff, but why would I click on this email? As opposed to Fancy, MacBook Pro Retina sleeve, jumbo fun stacker, underwear with pockets. The Chalk, Braun digital watch, Loma Louboutin, plucker jewellery, NYC subway token necklace, one less desk, Connet. So you get the idea. It's much more interesting. And I'm into underwear with pockets, so I click through on that. But seriously, it tells me what's in the email. So it's going to be a lot more compelling than, I know this is from Pinterest. I need you to tell me why I should click through. So make sure that it's interesting, your subject line, and aimed at getting the click. Yeah, a little bit. Okay, so this again, Scoot off to Singapore or Bangkok from 111, Scoot off to Singapore and Bangkok for 148. This is all about price because Scoot is mostly all about price, Scoot Airlines. And they do have prices and dollar signs in there, so clearly they have managed to get around spam filter. Yep, just another example. And lastly, what to write about. Just one slide on this briefly. We do have a whole workshop on content planning, and I think it's been videoed and is up there. If not, talk to your destination specialist about holding the content planning workshop if you're interested in finding out more in your region, because it's a 3 or 2.5 hour workshop where you can actually really sit down and really nut out a content calendar for yourself over the next 3 to 12 months. That will really save you a lot of time and effort. But anyway, let's have a slide on it now. It's really good to have a plan because not only does it make it easier on you rather than, you know, turning up to work on Monday morning and think, what am I going to write about? What am I going to post? Heck, I haven't got any ideas. I've got nothing. I'm still thinking about the weekend, etc. if you have a plan, you can rock up to work on Monday morning or whatever day you normally write, and you know what you're going to write, and so it's much easier. The other thing about having a plan is you can tell kind of a coherent story about your business, what we call a narrative. So rather than having ad hoc, you know, a picture of a rock star and then a picture of a cat and then a picture of a Ferrari or something, it's not really about your business on your Facebook page. Have a kind of carefully planned, consolidated, themed kind of story. It's going to be a much more powerful message, and it's going to tell a real brand story about your company. Posting regularly is really good, as often as you possibly can. I know most of us have limited resources, understand that, but don't let it sit there, because you will lose your edge rank, you'll lose your audience, people will drop off, they'll unlike you, they'll stop following you. So try and post as regularly as you can, within the resources that you've got. Again, think about empathy. What will interest a target market? What are they going to be most interested in? And make sure you're posting stuff that is of interest to them, not stuff necessarily that you want to tell them all the time. Seasonal events are great. So depending on where you are and what kind of business you are, autumn, summer, autumn, winter, spring, or harvest, or whale watching, or stuff that happens seasonally is really good to post about. Local events, if there's a festival or an event or a party or something going on. Do, of course, include product promotions from time to time. Company snippets, as I said earlier with Facebook, things that make you human. Is there something lovely that happened in the office this morning that you can quickly take a photo of or write about on your social media? These are the things that really make the difference between a really interesting presence and a not so interesting one. Don't forget to showcase the brand's personality, the tone of voice. So if you're fun, be fun. If you're formal, be formal. Doesn't have to be directly related to your product, although with tourism we do have a lot of scope, and we do have a lot of scope for beautiful photos and fun things, and you know, there's a lot more scope. Things like banks, it's a bit harder because everyone just wants to complain about their interest rates on their social media, but for example they could kind of take it one step out and talk about renovation stories related to home loans, for example. Or vets are kind of about, you know, medication and euthanasia and, you know, operations and things that people don't want to think about. So there's a particular vet called Green Cross Vets who focus on the love that people have for their pets. So they do like a senior pet photo competition, and great great photos of endearing animals doing lovely things, that sort of thing, rather than focusing on what they actually do. Travel sites. So yeah, you can talk about your destination by all means, but sometimes you could make it a little bit more different, like maybe just cocktail recipes from exotic places rather than just a photo of a sunset. So try and make it a little bit different sometimes as well. It's good to plan 3 months in advance if you can, and decide on the platforms you're going to use. You probably would have your year planned out in terms of, you know, Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, Christmas, school holidays, seasonal stuff, that sort of thing. So you kind of would have an idea what to talk about, obviously, but good to have a detailed plan 3 months in advance. Decide whether it's going to be Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, whatever you're going to be on. But also leave room, as I said, for the company snippets, for the spontaneous stuff that can happen unexpectedly, but is really good content for social media. It's a really good idea too to keep an ideas file. So as you're trawling through people's social media presences or magazines or anything that you're reading and you think, what a great idea, rip it out or scribble it down, put it into a folder, and then if you're really stuck for ideas when you're planning, you can come back to your folder. You might be surprised at how many great ideas you have, and it will make your planning a lot easier. Okay, so that's a little bit on planning. As I said, we do have a whole workshop on that. So visit our Digital Ready website if you want more information, or just get in touch with Susan, me, or Mirko. A little bit on copyright that we always have. We're almost done. Thanks for staying with me. Copyright applies online as well as offline. If you don't own it or have permission to use it, then don't. So make sure you get people to sign a release or ask for permission, get it. It's best not to use Google for images, because many of the images on Google will be copyright unless you can get permission. Unfortunately, even if you didn't know this, it won't stand up as a defence in court. So ignorance of the law, unfortunately, isn't any defence. Either use your own images, or you can go to some stock sites. iStock, Shutterstock, Getty Images, and license images to use for not very much. We have a whole program of workshops. Many of these are recorded and are now on the Digital Ready website, and we're planning for next year. So if you would like any of these in your region next year, by all means contact your destination specialist and let them know, and they can book us to come and deliver the workshop for you or deliver it as a webinar. Let us know what you're interested in, because the more feedback we get from you guys, the more effective we can be. We have workshops, as you know. We have one-on-one phone or face-to-face mentoring, coaching service by phone or email, and obviously the webinar series. So feel free to take advantage of that. It's all free and it's all here to help you. Mirko, Susan and Jane are the digital coaches. I'm Jane. Mirko and Susan are in the photo. I'm invisible in this one, but I think you can see me on the webcam, hopefully. Here's our contact details. If you're looking for the YouTube link, it will be on www.tq.com.au. We need a slash there, /Digital Ready. Just go there and all our webinar recordings are there, or they will be very soon if they're not already. If you have a specific question, feel free to get in touch with us by phone or by email. Thank you, everyone. I hope you found today informative and helpful. If you need any help with your writing, if you want me to have a look at what you've written and critique it for you or work with you on your writing, more than happy to do that. Get in touch with me at any of these times. If anyone has any questions now, I'm very happy to take them now if you want to stay on the line. Otherwise, I do understand that we're all busy. So thanks, everyone, for attending today, and we'll see you next week for Pod Legal. Thanks, everyone. Any questions, please type them into the question pane. Anyone with any questions? If not, you can get in touch with me later. Nope, nothing coming through. Okay, thanks everyone. I'll close off now. See you later.